In other international stories, we are tracking this. Our Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his rival Benny Gantz are in Washington to hold what is being seen as historic talks with US President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump welcomed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier to the White House. The much-anticipated plan to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is expected to be announced. Trump's Middle East peace plan is expected to be extremely favorable to Israel. The talks are scheduled to be held on Tuesday.
That the deal of the century is the opportunity of the century, and we're not going to pass it by. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. Today, I repeat, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for the State of Israel. You've been the greatest friend that Israel has had in the White House. And I think tomorrow we can continue making history. Thank you, Mr. President.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much. It's an honor to have Prime Minister Netanyahu, a great friend of mine and a great friend of our country. We've had a tremendous almost 3-year relationship. I've known you for many years before that, but this was 3 years of prime time, and we've done a lot for Israel, and the relationship, I think, has never been better. We're going to be discussing Mideast peace. We're going to be announcing a plan tomorrow at 12 o'clock, and that's a plan that Bibi and his opponent, I must say, have to like very much, and I can say in terms of Bibi he does, and I think in terms of his opponent he does too. I'll be meeting with him in a little while.
Also in Washington is Benny Gantz, who will be meeting Trump today. He has already turned down a joint appearance with Netanyahu at the White House, fearing that the Prime Minister would use it to upstage himself. After the meet, Gantz is expected to return to Israel with his plans in the parliament to block a request by Netanyahu calling for immunity from prosecution.
It's
very important visit. I'm looking forward. Plan of the deal is to deal with Israel's security, the regional strategies, and stabilization, hopefully down the road. And I'm looking forward.
What do you hope to achieve from the meeting?
Good relations and explanation and understanding between the president and myself.
Will this meeting help or hinder you in the elections in March, do you think?
We'll be careful. The meeting will take care of the election.
It's important to note that Trump has already struck an optimistic tone about this entire peace plan. He has also appeared eager to manage expectations about this peace plan. And it is this peace plan which has actually been largely heralded by Donald Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner. And according to Trump and Kushner, this is a deal which is very good for the Palestinians. Let's now get in a sense of what this deal could be like. For that, I'm joined in by our WION correspondent, Jagriti Dave, who's joining me live from Washington. Let's quickly go across to Jagriti. Jagriti, a very good morning to you. Now, what should we expect from the peace plan that Trump has already termed as the deal of the century?
Yes, so this plan is going to be unveiled around noon tomorrow. And really, there are some bits of information that are trickling through from sources close to the organisers of this plan. The White House has declined to comment officially. They say that the president has said that the details will be revealed tomorrow. But really, the trickles that we're getting through reports is saying that there's going to be an offer of statehood, limited statehood to the Palestinians. It's a roadmap to statehood over a period of 3 years if they adhere to abide by certain conditions such as negotiating with Israel and changing their political approach, renouncing violence as it's been described. There's also suggestions of Israeli control in the occupied West Bank, some input there. The Trump administration said that, said very hopefully, I guess, something that the president himself said when he met Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu in the Oval Office today, talking about how the Palestinians will like it hopes the Palestinians will like it in the long run. One of the criticisms of this deal is that the Palestinians haven't been engaged in the creation of the plan. So these are just some of the things that are coming out ahead of the announcement tomorrow.
Very rightly mentioned that, this is not engaging the Palestinians, and it is a deal which, of course, is being touted as a very Israel-friendly deal. Now, by not engaging in this deal, do you think the Palestinians have already placed themselves on the back foot?
Well, a lot of Palestinian authorities, figures, officials have been commenting, have been tweeting, have been calling for protests. Some groups, Palestinian groups, there's a lot of skepticism around this deal. There's concerns from the Palestinians about whether statehood is even an option on the table, and how the status of Jerusalem is another huge question that has dominated the issue between Israel and Palestine for years and years now, and has been central to many attempts at developing a peace process. So Palestinians clearly feel that they haven't been consulted, and that they are on the back foot in this, and that they should be sceptical of this. In terms of what Benny Gantz and Israeli and his rival, the Prime Minister of Israel, current Prime Minister of Israel, think, there seems to be bipartisan support for this deal. There are reports saying that the right-wing party, the right wing in Israel, represented by Benjamin Netanyahu, believe that this is potentially the best deal that they will possibly get. So it's really a matter tomorrow, once those details are spelt out, how the Palestinians will feel when they see in concrete terms what this plan offers them.
All right, and let's look at Israel, which is in the throes of a third election in less than a year. We've already seen that Benny Gantz and Netanyahu are in the United States. What is in it for Israel, especially Gantz and Netanyahu, respectively?
Well, one of the criticisms levied at this proposal is that it's a distraction technique for, I guess, for the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, who, as you say, is experiencing domestic troubles back in Israel. So this is a welcome distraction, some argue, for him from his personal problems. But this idea of a peace process is central to the dynamics between the United States and Israel. The United States has long been seen as the broker between Israel and Palestine on getting to a deal. That role has, many of the critics of the president have seen that has been jeopardized by the position that the Trump administration has taken with regards to, say, the position of the U.S. Embassy and their view on Jerusalem. And so what's in it for these two leaders, these two Israeli leaders, is that they are looking to an uncertain election, turmoil domestically, which they hope that maybe support from the United States might boost their own individual cases. But of course, both sides are broadly supportive of this deal. So it depends on whether this plan gives Benjamin Netanyahu a boost or not, or whether it gives his rival, Benny Gantz, a boost when it comes to the elections later on.
Right, Jagrati, last but not the least, it is the anticipation of the success rate of this deal is something that, skeptics are always going to ask. How successful could this peace plan be, taking into consideration the string of failed attempts in the past? Not to forget Trump, the way he's treating this as yet another deal, just like the way he has treated the issue of North Korea.
Yes, this is a president who prides himself on his ability to make deals. He's talked long about the Middle East peace process being the ultimate deal that he relishes brokering. And this is something that he says that he's been working towards for a long time. This is a deal, as you said, that was worked on by his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, amongst other senior advisors. And so this is clearly very important to this Trump administration and personally to the president. But as you say, the history of attempts to broker a Middle East peace process is marred by a string of failures. It is notoriously difficult to get an agreement. Both sides, it's one of those entrenched issues. Both sides have been deeply unhappy with many, many attempts. So it's difficult to see how this one could trump, to forgive the pun, previous attempts on in any way, especially as we've said before. The Palestinians feel that they have not been included, they've not been spoken to ahead of this plan. Some argue that, as you say, that this plan is heavily in favour of the Israelis. So it's very difficult to see how this plan might be successful. However, the president has brought Kim Jong-un, we talked the North Korea comparison, he has brought Kim Jong-un to the table. Some people have lauded the fact that he relies on his personal interactions, personal relationships with foreign leaders in order to try to come to agreements. You know, he will cite the deal with China that he has made recently, the first stage of a trade agreement with China, as an example of his ability to successfully broker difficult deals and in difficult situations. So we'll have to wait and see until
we'll have
noon
to wait and
Eastern
watch.
time tomorrow.
Yes, we'll have to wait and watch till tomorrow whether or not Donald Trump is able to broker this Middle East peace deal successfully or not. For now, thank you so much, Jagriti, for bringing us all those details.